Welcome to the Mind for Success podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Lebbing, and I love seeing business professionals, leaders, and entrepreneurs have massive success in their businesses. Are you ready to reach a higher level in your business? Are you looking to rise to the top and break through the barriers that are holding you back? If this is you, join us on the Mind for Success podcast. Hello and welcome to the Mind for Success podcast. My name is Kimberly Lebbing. I am your host. And today we're going to educate you today. I'm going to talk about how to overcome what's holding you back and rapidly move forward with clarity and freedom. Who would love to move forward with clarity and freedom and get rid of those things that are holding us back, taking up space, causing us to be frustrated, and slowing us down in achieving our goals? That's what I want to get to today. And I can't wait for you to hear this information. So first, if you are a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur and you've been stuck or struggling for a long time, or if you've been stuck in unproductive thought patterns and behaviors and you haven't figured out how to fix them, or like I said, you may be easily frustrated. Maybe you get frustrated with other people. I see that a lot. Or you say yes to things. This is another one I see a lot. Maybe you say yes to things and then you get frustrated with yourself because you know it's keeping you from meeting your goals. And if that's you, then you're in the right place. And this could be a game changer for you, because when you understand how your brain works and why you do the behaviors that you do, when you're aware, it is easier to make shifts and change accordingly. So today, this is what we're going to cover. I'm going to talk about some of the common mistakes that I see people making, specifically business owners and entrepreneurs, that they make, and it keeps them stuck and keeps them on that hamster wheel. We're going to identify the real reason why business owners and entrepreneurs get stuck, and how these unproductive thought patterns develop, where they come from, and how they actually play out in our business and in our life. And then I'm going to show you how to identify them and the root cause of these unproductive thought patterns. Sound good? All right. So a little bit more about me. I know if you're listening to this podcast for the first time, I want to officially introduce myself, that I'm Kimberly Lebbing, and I am a success and mindset coach. I've been doing this for a long time, over 10 years, since 2018. That is when I developed a very specific process that helps business owners and entrepreneurs shift very quickly. In fact, it's in 4 hours or less. And I did that because I've taken a ton of training and I have a lot of certifications. In fact, I have over 796 hours of training. If you can believe it or not, I actually sat down and added all that up. 796 hours of training, 5 expert certifications, and 14 top-level trainings, all in the neuro-linguistic space. So I'm excited to share some of my knowledge with you and help you understand the things that are holding you back. So the first thing I want to talk about is really how our subconscious minds are set up to work. And if you are listening to this podcast, or you listen to podcasts like this in the mindset space, you may have heard some of this before, but I'm going to put some real world examples to what I'm about to explain to you. So So I'm sure you've heard this, but whenever we are just living our lives, we have tons and tons of information that comes into us at a constant pace. They say over 50,000 thoughts per day. There's actually billions and billions if you add up not just the thoughts, but the information that comes in. And now it seems like it's even faster and more than it's ever been before. Billions and billions of information that comes through, and it goes through, what we see, what we hear, how we feel, goes through all of these filters and goes through our brains. And we have this internal filter. Our internal filter is made up of our memories, our values, and our beliefs, also our attitudes, our language, how we grew up. And this internal filter is really developed before the age of 7. So the people that you were surrounded with before the age of 7 is where these memories, these values, and then these beliefs come from. And out of that is our perception of reality. And from that perception, that is what drives our behavior. That's where our decisions come from. That's where our behaviors and our actions come from. Literally everything we do comes out of this filter. And most of the time, we're not even aware that it's going on. 90% of our success, 90% of what we do in anything, in our relationships, in our business, in anything that we do, is driven by our subconscious behavior. Yet, this is the thing that a lot of people, most people, I would say, deal with this last, or they don't deal with it at all. They try and do all the other things. In fact, there's a specific order. There's a specific order and a sequence that has to happen in order for you to fix these problems that come up of how you respond. So when things come in, so an instant comes in, whatever action, whatever thing comes into your world, thought, we'll call it a thought, it goes through that filter, which is made up of your memories, your values, your beliefs, your attitudes, your language. That's where your perception comes from. And then your decisions, your behaviors, and your actions come from that. What most people do, and one of the biggest mistakes that I see business owners make, is they fix, or they try to, they don't actually do it. They try to fix their problems in the wrong order. They go after those behaviors, decisions, and actions and try to change them first without, and they just ignore the filter. Maybe they're not aware of the filter. Maybe they are aware of the filter and this is just all that they know to do. So they go after changing their decisions, their behaviors, and their actions. And when they do this, it's frustrating for them, for one, because it leads to exhaustion. They end up feeling defeated, frustrated, because what happens when you don't deal with these hardwired filters, the thing that makes up your belief, that the reason why you're making the decisions, the behaviors, and the beliefs, and all the things that you're doing, the reason why behind it, you end up slipping right back into that old pattern, and it keeps you stuck. This is why a classic example is on January 1 or shortly after, when all the people have made their New Year's resolutions that they're going to lose weight. And so they try to change the behavior. So they try to change the behavior. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to work out. I'm going to eat healthy. And I'm going to do all those things to keep myself healthy. They go to the gym for about, I don't know, 6, 7, maybe 8 weeks if we're lucky. They tried to change the behavior without changing the filter. The filter that's up here, what's really going on, the filter could be saying, that I want to stay comfortable. I want to stay in my bed and stay comfortable. Maybe being overweight has provided some form of safety from relationships or safety from reaching out to people. Maybe, so there's some other filter that's going on there that's working against the behavior. And so when they go to the gym, they are set up to fail and slip back into that old behavior because they haven't changed the filter. When you change the filter, that's when you can change the real behavior. This is huge. It's huge to understand, because the same thing I see entrepreneurs and business owners do this is in their businesses. Maybe they're inconsistent. Maybe they've gotten up and down results as far as reaching goals and getting where they want to do. And they try and fix the behavior. They try and make different decisions, but then they slip back into that old behavior, those old decisions, those old thought patterns. They slip back into them because they never dealt with the filter. When you can change the filter, that's when you can change the behaviors, and then you don't even have to try. It just happens. So let me explain what I mean by this. Because it really is simple. And what I see people doing is they read books, they listen to podcasts, they go to more counseling, they do affirmations, they hire business strategists, business coaches, and there's nothing wrong with any of these things. In fact, they're all good things to do. It's just the wrong order of things, because they're not dealing with the core issue. They're not dealing with the filter. That filter is what drives your behavior. It's your subconscious mind that's in autopilot. And you can overdrive it for a time, but and you can change it on your own. And I'll give you some strategies at the end that you can do that. They take longer, and you may or may not get to real significant issues doing it that way. But I will share some of those. But it is a long process, and it can be frustrating. It can leave you really feeling exhausted. But when you fix them and you change that filter in the right way, in the right order, then all of those behaviors line up naturally. They're easy to do because you don't have any resistance. You're not fighting this filter that runs 90% of your behavior with 10% of your efforts, because that's really what's going on. This is really huge to understand. And we can make all those investments. They're all good things, all these things that we sign up for and things that we want to do. But until that filter is changed, it can literally it can be a waste of money and time. So what I want to show you today, or tell you today, if you're listening, I want to tell you what process is necessary in order to change that filter, how to go about it in the right way so that you can move forward in your business, in your life, with your relationships, whatever that might be. So, but first, I want to give you some examples of how this might play out for somebody, because I see a lot of people all the time. And honestly, over these past weeks, now my examples that I'm talking about today, actually, I do have people pleasing that is my first example. So I've been dealing with a lot of business owners that struggle with this. They're always high achievers. They're always people that are go. Everyone loves them. But there is an internal struggle, because it's not the only reason, but a lot of the reason that they're saying yes to so many things is because they are internally, their filter is people pleasing. That's part of it. And that people pleasing filter keeps them from reaching their goals. So let me share with you about this unproductive thought pattern and how that might play out. So a couple of years ago, I worked with a woman who co-owned a business with her husband. And she was really, really struggling. When I talked with her, she was very frustrated. She was constantly putting out fires, constantly. In fact, it was hard to even get her on calls with me because she was so just always like in a panic, always something tragic, felt like tragic going on in the business. She was always putting out fires. They owned a trucking company together, and she was very frustrated because she wanted to start her own business and hadn't been able to. In fact, she didn't feel like she had any time to herself at all. And she was beginning to resent her husband, her friends, her kids. Her kids were adults and were helping out some of the time. And so all of her decisions were about everyone else. She was frustrated that she wasn't hitting her goals. She was resentful about the things that she was saying yes to, yet she felt guilty for not saying yes also. So it was really quite a paradox for her to have both of those things going on. And this is really, really common. So the filter, her name is Kathy. So her filter that was happening was that she was not important. She had a fear of conflict. She had tons and tons of guilt. And so when someone would present a problem to her, an employee or would come up with some kind of need, or maybe her husband would be, out running around and, text her, hey, I'm hungry and I don't like whatever, whatever was available or whatever. She would literally drop everything for whoever was around because of these filters, the filters of I'm not important, fear of conflict, and all of that guilt. She would drop everything she was doing and go do whatever it was she needed to do to make that person happy. And she did it so that she could avoid conflict. And she was trying to avoid the guilt, but what ended up happening is she would end up with lots of resentment. And there would be guilt of not getting all the things done, because literally she was putting everybody else's needs before her own and before the business. So they weren't achieving things the way they wanted to. And she really didn't feel like she had any time to herself whatsoever. So her perception. So let's say employee A comes in with a need. It goes through this filter of hers. If I'm not important, I've got this conflict issue, I have all this guilt. So her perception of reality was really distorted. So that was affecting her decisions. And she was literally creating overwhelm for herself because of these filters. She had tried to do different things, but she really wasn't seeing what the real problem was with that. And so it really became quite an issue for her. So when we clean the filter, and I will go through the steps of how to do that. So hang with me. When we clean the filter for her, now when employee A comes in with a need, now her perception, her filter, it's neutral. It's not seeing through things through those old filters anymore. So she responds in a whole different way. So now she's setting boundaries and can easily say no without the guilt. She's able to focus and she's able to feel calm throughout the day. And this is the best part, is that she is experiencing deeper relationships because she wasn't distracted by trying to please people all the time. She's even dressing differently because she was so worried about what other people might think of her, that she was, stressing about what she looked like constantly all the time. And she's just more relaxed. And she's now going after the goals that she had. She has tons of time to herself now and is able to move forward. So now I want to give you another example. So bear with me. about the filter. And my second example, we'll call him Russ. I do change the names when I share these stories, just so you know. We'll call him Russ. And when Russ came to me, Russ was struggling with also frustration and overwhelm, tons of it, but for a different reason. He was frustrated. He was working, so he owns an insurance agency. He was working about 80 hours a week, really trying, and he was always catching up. I'm always behind. He would always say, I'm always behind. I always feel behind. I'm always trying to catch up. He struggled with being critical of others. So he was frustrated with other people not doing their jobs, or maybe not doing their jobs to the degree that he thought they should. And he's been unable to hire a team and really grow his business to where he wants it to grow to because of this frustration. So his filter, so when, a customer or a client or, even his spouse would come to him, the filter of those interactions that was going through his mind was fear of failure. He felt disrespected. He struggled with internal anger and frustration with other people. He felt stuck. And he always, like I said, he always felt behind, never thought he felt like he was caught up. And he's built a huge business despite all these things, but he just never had time to enjoy it because he always feels behind. And he really had a fear of what other people were going to say. So out of that filter, his perception is distorted. And so that was causing the behavior. He was actually creating more work for himself because he didn't think anybody could do it as well as him. He was very critical about other people doing their part, and the work. He was working 80 hours a week plus. So that was at work. When he would get home, he was creating all these home projects to do as well. And that was stressing him out also, instead of, like hiring him out or doing whatever he needs to do so that he can enjoy his family. So he's always frustrated, always in an angry kind of state, kind of internally. So after we cleaned Russ's filter up, what happened was, whatever instance customer or spouse comes into Russ for an interaction, now his filter is in neutral state. So now he responds differently. He's responding differently to everyone. He's not getting frustrated. In fact, he messaged me that even his wife noticed immediately. So that's what I love. When you work on your business, it also shows up in your personal life. He's able to prioritize what's important and let go of the rest. He's actively pursuing what his dream goals are, and he's not feeling the guilt of being behind anymore because he's not trying to do it all right now. So he's taking on bigger projects and he's doing them in bite-sized pieces and understands now that there is a process to everything. And again, he's just in a more relaxed state, in that neutral state. So he responds differently to things than what he did before. So now I want to explain to you the steps to identify and to eliminate the root cause of these thought patterns. So the very first step, and this is something that I do with my clients, is identifying the problem. Like, what is it? So a lot of times the problem goes much deeper than what people come to me and talk about. So if they're overwhelmed, so actually both of these examples that I gave you, they were both overwhelmed. And they both had different, deeper reasons behind the overwhelm. So, one, like frustration and anger was a core emotion that was driving that behavior. And that was for Russ, it was something that happened a long time ago. On the surface, it's something that he probably had forgotten about. And the same with the other client. Only a different driver behind it. For her, there was a ton of the core behavior was guilt, guilt and that people pleasing that was driving a lot of her behavior. So getting to that core problem is key. And that's just a series of asking questions and digging deep about what that is that's driving that behavior. And really, you have to slow down in order to do this, unless you have somebody guiding you and can take you through the process quickly. Okay, so next, the second step is discovering the cause of it. Now, discovering the root cause is essential for lasting change, because what we're doing in this process is we're bringing those things that are in that filter at the subconscious level, and we're bringing them up to the conscious level. And when you bring them up to the conscious level, that's when you're aware of them. And when you're aware of a problem, that's when you can fix it. And when you can find the cause of it, and with finding the cause, it's thinking about who were your models, what was modeled to you at that time, what behaviors, what things were there that are related to this problem. And so where did it first occur? And whenever you can find that root cause, the very, very next step, they definitely all go together. That very next step is to subconsciously fix it or to reframe it. So when I say reframe, what did you learn from it? What did you learn from this experience? We hear that as entrepreneurs all the time, the failing forward. And it's true, though. So even with our past, something that's playing at that subconscious level in that filter, what did you learn from that experience? Or what could you learn that you can apply to your future? What are those things that are there? When you can apply those things to your future, that's when you get to leave the past in the past, and then you get to move forward with whatever your goals and whatever your dreams are. And I know I said there's 3 steps, but I have to say this because once you are rid of those filters, and you're in a more neutral state, and we all have, I will say this too, we all have multiple filters. So there's not just one problem. There's usually more than one thing going on. But once we are able to neutralize those filters, that's when we get to create new behaviors. That's when we get to create what we want. Because before, it's kind of like if I have a computer and this computer has a virus, if I try and upload a new software, what's it going to do? It's going to slow down. It's not really going to work the way it's supposed to. It's going to get bogged down and may not even work at all. And we're going to get frustrated. We are the same. Our brains are magnificent and wonderful, and they do work like a computer. We're the same way. We have the ability to remove those viruses, clear out those filters, and when we do this in the right order, that's when we see real change. And just like I said in the very beginning, that's when you see different decisions are made, different behaviors are made, because they're not going through that old filter that you had before that was slowing you down. You're different now. You're the same, but you're different. So it's like you, but the 2.0 version, if you want to go with the computer analogy. Okay, so some other self techniques that I have used through the years to help me transition, because honestly, and I had a training last week. I sometimes do free coaching sessions for the people that are on my email list. So if you're not on, I'll tell you how to connect with me there. But Last week we were on one of those sessions and someone asked, like, how can I find this root cause or where it first occurred? Because that seems really difficult. And my answer was, well, it's kind of like you can do it on your own. It's more effective with someone guiding you. So I have a massage gun in the house, and the massage gun works really well if I've worked out hard and I've got a knot or my husband needs it or whatever, and it works okay. But it's not the same as going to a massage therapist. So that's kind of the differences. But some of the self techniques that you can use that I found to be helpful, they didn't get to the real reason, but I did find them to be helpful. And that is things like meditation, prayer, guided meditation, changing your belief structure through affirmations. This one, I have a whole other training on affirmations specifically because I have a very different approach to affirmations than everything that's out there, or most everything that's out there. You can do stress reduction techniques, breathing exercises, you can sleep more, you can do self-care, you can take time off, you can prioritize your health. I mean, honestly, your physical health, what you put in your body, whether or not you exercise and get sleep and all of that, completely affects your mental health and how you deal with things throughout the day. So those are some things that you can do that will help it improve. But again, they don't really change the filter. So changing that filter and neutralizing that, clearing that out, that's the real way to make change happen. Okay, so what we've covered today, we talked about common mistakes that people make that keep them stuck and on that hamster wheel. We've identified the reasons why business owners and entrepreneurs get stuck, how these unproductive thought patterns develop, and how they show up in our business and in our lives. And I've gone through how to identify and eliminate the root cause of these thought patterns, and even given you some extra tips so that you can just start working on yourself so that you can get better and have the success that you want. So in conclusion, I want to give you a gift. So I've got, you can actually see my proven 3-step process. I've got a free download called How One of My Clients Went from 0 to Over $1 million with One Shift. It lays out my complete process and gives you, the steps that we took to get him there. And you can find that at the number 4 ourresults.info. So 4ourresults.info. So I want to thank you for being here today and listening. I appreciate you, and I will see you on the next episode.
Are you ready to break through the barriers that are holding you back and reach a higher level in your business in just 4 hours? Be sure to click the link today and join other high-achieving professionals that have worked with Kimberly Lebbing to accelerate their success.